The Minnesota Vikings have been around since 1961. And I just want them to win a damn Super Bowl before I die. Welcome to Before I Die with JessI and Myles on Purple Daily and Score North.
Just one before we die. Maybe this is the year. I don't know about you. I'm feeling optimistic. I am back on the Vikings train. Let's go. Choo-choo. I'm JessI Pierce. He's Myles Gorham. He's Ross Brendel. Here we go, you guys. Your Minnesota Vikings 2-0 for the first time since 2016 after a 23-17 victory at home against last year's NFC rep in the Super Bowl, the San Francisco 49ers. Not only that, Myles and Ross, your Minnesota Vikings sit alone at the top of the NFC North. Skull, let's get a little skull going for that. I have my chords all. Skull. Nice work. Lots of good things. Yeah. How are we feeling this morning? Are we all as high and positive as I am? And I don't like to be. I'm not going to lie. It's got me freaked out, as every Vikings fan knows, because there's so much pain and misery, especially when we're feeling optimistic. But Myles, let's start with you. How are we feeling this Monday morning? And then Ross, I'd love to hear your vibes.
I feel great. I mean, hey, just a few weeks ago, didn't we talk about like how the Vikings were going to do? And I remember seeing some comments on the YouTube of folks being like, there's no way this team could be considered even close to a playoff team. They're not going to be good enough. And I even said like maybe 9 wins. And they're 2-0. And that doesn't mean they're going to win 10, 11 games or anything like that. But I think we didn't expect them to start as strong as they have, especially on the defensive side of the ball and how good they've been. So I'm riding the high. I feel like you couldn't have asked for a better start. Obviously a couple issues, but like nothing that you can't fix and nothing that like I'm like truly worried about. I feel like they've put themselves in a really good position to continue this train moving forward. And so I'm excited for what's to come.
Ross, are we just as excited? You still feel like you're the level-headed one, maybe of us. I'm very volatile. I'll go high, low, but I'm never really in between and even keeled. I'm just very like, yay, this is great, or boo, this is terrible. Ross, you can be my even-keeled man.
Well, first off, I want to pat myself on the back. Last Thursday, I joined Jeff Diamond's Purple Report on 1500 ESPN and told him the Vikings would win 23-16.
Ooh.
What was the final score? 23-17. So good job, Ross.
Get yourself a lottery ticket, my friend, and then pay me and Myles a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah.
For some reason, going into the game, I just kind of like the vibes. We see it every year. I think we talked about it on Before I Died last week, that there's always teams that start off 2-0, 3-0, and you didn't expect them to be there. Some come back to the pack and finish 6-11. Others go forward like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year and have double-digit wins and make a little bit of a playoff run. I'm hoping the Minnesota Vikings can be one of those teams. And I think we're still seeing now through 2 weeks, we see the recipe. Sam Darnold needs to be better than good, but he doesn't need to be great. And if the defense plays like they've played the first 2 weeks, that's not going to happen every week. But if it happens the majority of weeks, you can win games this way with this roster. So I'm feeling pretty good. I still don't know how good this team can be, but that's the beauty of the season. We'll find out over the next 15 games. But yeah, I mean, I think, what did I say a couple weeks ago? I thought they were right around 500. I still think there'll be some losses along the way, but guys, you just beat the defending NFC champions, albeit down a couple players, but still a very good coach team, a very good roster. And the final score, if Aaron Jones doesn't fumble at the 1 yard line, that final score isn't really indicative of the butt whooping you gave the 49ers for most of the game. So you have to feel good. Where it goes from here, that's anybody's guess, but I know I'd rather be 2-0 than 1-1.
There we go.
You're talking about losses. What do you mean losses? This team doesn't lose. Come on, Ross. We can't already start talking about losses. We're 2-0.
17-0, baby. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Why not us? Why not us?
Why not now? Why not us?
Take it to the house. I do need to remind people, Sam Darnold had a really good 4 games with Carolina back in 2021, and then that completely fell apart after teams adjusted. And that's the one thing to look about moving forward, is teams adjusting to what Sam Darnold is doing. But let's celebrate Sammy Slinger, if you will, a piss missile on a 97-yarder to Justin Jefferson, a defining moment, longest NFL play since 2022. And not to mention, guys, JJ looks to be okay after a fourth quarter. Was that fourth quarter or third quarter?
Third quarter, I think.
Third
like
quarter.
I think it was like late third quarter.
Late third, because he didn't play in the fourth. Quad injury. He declares himself. He'll be good to go against the Texans in week 3. So Sam Darnold, 17 for 26, for 268 yards, 2 tutties. Can't overlook the one brutal pick in the end zone. But in the fourth quarter, without JJ, he converted on 3 different third down situations as well. Sam Darnold, Myles, as advertised, is he going to keep this up, or he's already halfway to his 4 wins that he had last season? So that's good. How are we feeling about Sam Darnold? He's learned the playbook. JJ has all the faith in him. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell as well. And he's doing a good job of giving the ball to different players too, right? He's spreading the love around, which I absolutely adore. How are we feeling about Sam Darnold after week 2's performance?
Feel really good. I feel like the one thing that we should talk about, I don't think this is going to go like sound controversial. Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach. And I feel like the one thing we can attribute is like that man is ability to scheme an offense and players to be successful within that offense is just like we saw it last year under all the confines of like obviously Kirk Cousins, but then the injury happened and you see Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins be able to perform within this offense. Sam Darnold's better than those two guys, clearly. And I think you can see it because of the way of like, yeah, there are some misses here and there. That's going to happen. I don't think we all expected Sam Darnold to come in and be an MVP candidate or anything like that, or be Kirk Cousins. But I think we expected, he has a really good arm. And I think we expected the offense to really guide him into like playing pretty well. And it has so far. And I think that's what's not surprising to me. What is surprising to me is just some of these throws. Yes. Like we talk about that touchdown to Jefferson. He had Jalen Nailor open on a deep crossing route, on like a deep in route. That you wouldn't have been upset if he had took that. And it's like, maybe like a 15, 20-yard gain. He's open, take that. No, in his end zone, this man said, no, I'm going to throw deep. That's the volatility you're going to get with the Sam Darnold. But like you love that aggression. I know I have Jalen Nailor open in the middle of the field for like a 15, 20-yard gain, which is great from our end zone. But I got Justin Jefferson, the best offensive player in the league, down 50 yards down the field. I'm going to go give him a chance. And it turns into a 97-yard touchdown. Like that to me is like some of the volatility you're going to, and then you see the like pretty brutal interception. The volatility you're going to get with a Sam Darnold, but overall, you can overcome one bad mistake with some of these really good plays that came yesterday against the 49ers. And that third down throw to Jalen Nailor, that back shoulder between 3 defenders. Hey, I stood up in my chair and was like, hey, like, did he really make that throw? Because that was it. That was pinpoint. That was beautiful. It was one of those like, okay, we're rolling now types with no Jefferson, no Addison, no Hawkinson. Let's play,
Yeah, Myles, I think you hit the nail on the head on that part right there with that throw to Nailor.
The nailer on the head, if you will.
The nailer on the head. It was
right in your palm of your hands, Ross.
It was my bad. I'm not good with the puns. That y'all can have that. That's not me. Greatly
well done, JessI. But when you're looking for, is Sam Darnold turning the corner? Is he becoming a guy that can potentially start for an NFL team for still 5 to 10 years down the road? You're looking for signs, and Myles hit the nailer on the head with that throw to Jalen Nailor. When you think about everything that was happening at that time, Justin Jefferson is now out for the game. Jordan Addison not playing. Aaron Jones had just had a crippling fumble at the 1-yard line. The Niners have closed the gap, and for you to come back and make that big throw on third down against a team like the 49ers, not against a team like the New York Giants, that's a big moment. Will they build on it and carry forward from it? Again, who knows? But in the moment, that's a really great sign.
Boys, reminiscent of the Case Keenum era, the Case Keenum season, if you will. There's been a lot of comparisons. It's hard not. And I think jokingly heading into the year, everybody was like, maybe it'll be like Case. Maybe that's what it's going to do. It's feeling very similar, I think. Myles, what are your thoughts?
I can understand what people are saying with it. I think the pass defense isn't going to be quite as good as that 2017 team was. They were locked down. Like that team did not give up big plays ever. And the defense did great. I think the pass defense overall did well yesterday, but they gave up some leaks, some big plays in the middle of the field that, probably would have stymied. You would have liked to see them stopped. But at the end of the day, like to compare to 2017 is really hard to do just because of like how good that team was. But I will say they're on a really good start. Like they have a really good start. The defense is even better than I think we all even expected. I expected the defense to be good. I don't think I expected the defense to be this good and how much havoc they've been wreaking. Blake Cashman. I know you're going to talk about your guy Patrick Jones, so I'll leave that. But he, as a reserve pass rusher, like he's been playing well. You know, again, I mentioned Blake Cashman, Jihad Ward, like some of these like low level, like new guys to the team making major contributions. Like you love to see the guys you don't expect to make plays. And that's how good teams become great teams, is when the depth pieces are the ones making big plays in big situations, because you expect the big time players to do it. So I love it.
Gosh, we cannot. The defense had me going from
the
jump yesterday, right? Like, my goodness, B-Flow, give him all of the accolades, all of the praise. I absolutely love to suck on that. Tua. Just kidding.
Well, what? Sorry. A little. I mean, leave Tua alone right now. That man's in recovery.
Right, I'll leave Tua alone right now, just because. All right, once.
Poor Tua can't even process what you just said.
Right?
And yes,
I wasn't going to say it now. See, now you took it to that level.
I did just make a concussion joke, and here is JessI just firing off Molotov cocktails from
just saying
thousands of miles away. You know what? Tua's a big fan of Purple Daily and Before I Die. That's what my sources tell me.
Real quick about that, I think what we've seen similar. Oh, I'm going to say Mike Zimmer, even though what happened yesterday to the Cowboys. Oof. Mike Zimmer and Brian Flores might just be better as coordinators than head coaches.
Yeah, that could be. That's
not
unheard
and that's okay.
Of.
And that's okay. I don't think that's a problem.
No, I don't either, especially if Brian Flores is going to give us that type
of
output. You mentioned Cashman, obviously amazing. But I want to talk. Well, let's talk about the defense as a whole, where they held the Niners to 2 of 10 on 3rd down and 1 of 3 on 4th down. We love that. 6 sacks, 2 turnovers. Brock Purdy, I'm sorry, my Cyclone did not have a very good day. Just terrible kind of quarterback plays and reads by him. I think he was staring directly into the receiver he was going to throw it to, right? So it was very easily deciphered from the defense. But in general, I do want to talk about Patrick Jones, the second. 2 sacks on Purdy. He had 2 sacks on Daniel Jones against the Giants. Myles, what can you tell me about Patrick Jones the second? And can he continue this type of production? I know we were all bummed out that Danielle Hunter was gone. You know, we thought the defense was going to kind of flounder. But Patrick Jones the second has kind of stepped up and helped buoy this Brian Flores defense.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like Patrick Jones as your 3rd, 4th, pass rusher is a really good and effective in that role. I don't know if he's like a full-time starter, but like obviously in this type of rotational role, when especially when the defense is putting offenses in harder 3rd down situations, when you're performing as well as they are on 1st and 2nd downs, it allows you to put yourself in what do they call them, these NASCAR packages, right? And so it allows you to put yourself in those situations more, which gives Patrick Jones in favorable situations, which he's been able to see against both the Giants and the 49ers these first 2 weeks. So having him in those situations as like a rotational rusher, I love it. I think it's a perfect situation he's in to allow him like free run, and he gets single looks against offensive linemen, And so it allows him to eat and feast in situations that like is more favorable for him than an every down type player where, the offenses are really honing in on guys like Grenard, Van Ginkel, and even a Dallas Turner. So it allows him to kind of be like a different type of chess piece in these rotational situational situations that you wouldn't see him do if he was, an every down player. So I love the situation he's allowed to be in, and what the defense on 1st and 2nd down, like I mentioned, has allowed them to get them into favorable situations on 3rd and longs, which gives him better situations. So I love it. I'm excited for what he's able to do, and he's able to you said 4 sacks, forced fumble, like all of these things. Like those are in fact impactful plays that get the defense off the field, and I love it. It allows him to be in a really good favorable matchup, and I think that's perfect for him, a type of player like Patrick Jones.
And a former 3rd round pick, I believe, too, right? So, I mean, there you go. And Van Ginkel, his hair looked a little tamer. I think maybe he heard you guys. I thought it looked good yesterday. He played well again. Yeah. It looked a little cleaner, a little nice. You had mentioned putting in favorable situations. Ross, is there a favorable situation we could find if we have an injury or we're dealing with some sort of problem?
She's so good at it.
Is there anybody that we could reach out to, or how do we alleviate and put ourselves in a favorable situation when it comes to injuries?
Billy Mays as a pitchman and Segway master has nothing on Jesse Pierce. That would be a quick shout out to our friends, the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. That is Nicolay Law. Nicolay Law knows that when you or a loved one gets injured ordinary life can come to a stop and things get complicated. That's where the folks at Nicolay Law come in. They're just normal, everyday folks, the ones you see at the gas station, walking the pup, or at your local watering hole. Normal, everyday folks who are here to make sure that you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. If you have been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay. Here's how you get in contact with them. Start your path to winning at nicolaylaw.com. That's nicolaylaw.com. Or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. JessI?
Well done. Well done, Ross. We talked about the pass game. Got to talk about the run game too, guys, because I love the way that the offense is moving that. Aaron Jones, we've seen what he can do the past 2 weeks. Another pretty solid game. Ty Chandler, however, leads in rushing yards, 10 carries for 82 yards. Just how incredible has Ty Chandler been? I don't feel like anybody should be surprised necessarily by this, right, Myles? I mean, it's kind of to be expected, but how do you think that 1-2 punch with him and Jones is going to work moving forward again? Because the schedule doesn't exactly get easy for the Vikings. We're not looking like very good. You got the Texans, you got the Packers coming up in the imminent weeks here. But how do you think Ty Chandler is going to really complement Aaron Jones, or do you see him moving into that running back number one, the go-to over Jones even at all?
No, I kind of feel like similar to a Patrick Jones, Ty Chandler is really good as a complementary piece, not like the feature piece. And that's not a knock on him, I think, but he does better when you give him, like, he doesn't need as many carries to have an impact as we saw yesterday. He's an explosive playmaker, but he's a guy that he does struggle in pass protection. And there's a reason he's not on third downs and in those situations. And but he also does struggle inside the tackles a little bit more. But when you see some of those stretch runs in the outside zone game, he's that dude's speed and his ability to one cut and go is strong. And so I think that's where he was really impactful yesterday, and it was really exciting to see. I wouldn't say I would want him playing more snaps than Aaron Jones, but I think like 65-35, 70-30, 60-40 split, somewhere in that range is just fine with what they've been doing. I think they're a perfect complement to each other. They both have explosion. They're both, they both can do well, but I think Aaron Jones is the better guy in between the tackles. And as we saw yesterday, which I was excited about, I know he fumbled, but Aaron Jones's ability in the pass game is shouldn't be understated. I think that's one thing this offense has really missed over the last handful of years is a playmaker out of the backfield. And Jones can really be that guy that I don't even think Chandler can quite do what Aaron Jones can do in the pass game. But so I was excited to see that, but I was excited to see what Chandler could do. You saw Aaron Jones get banged up and then the fumble. So to have a guy like him to come in and be able to kind of spell him and have explosive runs in those situational times, especially in the fourth quarter, was a big deal. So I was excited to see it. I think what they're doing for both guys is perfect. And I think they're finally finding a true identity in that run game that we've been asking for since Kevin O'Connell became the head coach. So right. I think they're finally finding that success.
I think I could be I'm like the Ty Chandler on this podcast, the complimentary player, right?
Stop.
No.
I'm okay with that, though. I enjoy that role. I've told you I want to be a running back. I did hear from the Minnesota Minx and the Vixen. Their tryouts are being held in a couple weeks, guys.
Yes.
It's happening.
Is that hit coming?
It's at least in tryouts, right? Like, I mean, at least got a tryout. I have a friend who apparently she recommended the Minx, and she's like, it's a little less.
We'll be there. Is it open trial? Can I go?
It's open tryouts. Yeah.
Oh, we'll be there.
I got to be honest. I'm a little naive here. Describe the difference between the Minx and the Vixen to me. Vixen is full-on tackle football.
They're both full-on tackle, but it's like Division I and Division II, essentially, is what I understood. And it's less like the Vixen is. The schedule is a little bit crazier, and they play further away from where I'm located up in the northeast of St. Paul, right? So the Minx are a little bit closer and a little bit more of a fluid, flexible schedule. And I think the Vixen play indoors, whereas the Minx play outdoors in the spring, but they're still all holding tryouts here in the fall.
Are you sure based on your schedule, you can even schedule in one practice? I mean, we had to like move heaven and earth to get this podcast done today. And now you're trying to take on professional football?
we're gonna do it all. This is my lot in life. Like I want to do everything I have even the slightest interest in. I'm like, we're gonna do it. Why not? Why not? Like Myles said earlier about the Vikings. Why not? No, I think they give you all of that. That's a really good question. I don't know. That's a good question.
I would find out. I would make sure you find out and get gloves.
Okay.
I know we talked about gloves before for your son.
Yep.
You know, get gloves.
I think, yeah, I can do that.
Your hands will thank you later.
Okay.
Make sure that they have provided pads for you, because the last thing we need is you going around just guessing what type of pads that you need, and then you just get
that's a
flattened
good
like
idea.
a pancake.
Like
Yeah.
the first time when I played hockey as a kid just until like part of Pee Wee's, and then it got way too expensive. My family was like, "We are poor. This is not for you." The first time I played, I think I was like 7, and my neighbor gave me some of their kids' old gear. I had the shin pads on my arms.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had no idea what I was putting on. Everything
It
was
happens.
backwards.
Yep.
I don't want you to go into these tryouts, JessI, looking like that.
But
'cause you're
luckily, I
an
have
adult.
you guys. to
Yes, we
support
got
me.
you.
Yep.
We got you.
No, I needed people helping to
Support,
put my
baby.
hockey pads on many times, even as an adult. It's confusing. It's a lot of pieces. It's a lot of moving pieces, you guys. But yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update and shout out. Speaking of commenting on things, this was a terrible segue. I already regret starting this. Let's just hit
It's
the comments
okay.
from
It's
YouTube.
fine.
Let's just
It's
hit
not
the
as good
comments
as
from YouTube.
earlier.
Let's just go.
Comments from YouTube.
Can't all be winners. Can't all be slingers. Can't all be 97 yarders. All right, guys. Sorry.
Well, JessI, I will say this, since you're so good at navigating down the field. How about that?
Mhm.
Navigating down the field of a podcast. You already kind of alluded to one comment I was going to get to from Score One More, who says this team is better than the 2017 team. Since you already talked about that, you and Myles early on, we'll just give Score One More the shout out for the comment and the inspiration, and we'll move on to a fun one.
Okay.
Guys ready for a fun one here?
This whole podcast is fun, Ross.
Well, I mean, the question. Mark Larson, 9847, takes a shot at my shirt. With that shirt, it appears Ross, remember it was an orange shirt last week.
Yes.
With that shirt, it appears Ross is running production for Hennepin County Lockup. I appreciate the comment. Another person told me I looked like I was calling everybody to make a car warranty sale. So I appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. I did go with a Before I Die shirt. Reminder, Before I Die shirts at scorenorth.com.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, if you were to end up in Hennepin County Lockup, what would you be in charge of? What's your job at Hennepin County Lockup?
Y'all are assuming I've never been in lockup before, which I think is very kind, but JessI went to college once upon a time and maybe made some mistakes. But luckily that's down in Story City, and those
Note
files
to
are
self, dig up record.
I think they're expunged by now. Let's hope so. I would be in charge of mopping. I think I'll be honest. I went to jail once upon a time for a weekend and nothing bad, just drunken college antics. And I was in charge of mopping, which was fun.
But you get to pick your job. What would you be in charge of?
You're mopping. I got to do it by myself. I didn't have anybody bothering me. I was terrified as a 20-year-old, right? Like this was not fun for me. So anything that I can do away from other inmates would be safe for me. Or I want to be a cook. I want to be the line. That the power. I've watched what's the Netflix show that everybody Orange is the New Black?
Yeah.
The power that the cook has is incredible in jail, right? Like I hold a very significant power in my hand, so I would be the cook.
I just want to point out that since you talked about being locked up, Myles has done nothing but look down and I think hammer away at his computer. I think he is digging for these records as we speak.
No.
You're locked up, Myles. What's your job?
Is that the question, or is it about what would be the charge for why we're locked up?
I do like the charge. We should do the charge.
You know what? Okay, sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. What would be the charge? Well, I do
Because
want to know what your job is.
If my job in jail, it's definitely the smokes guy. I'm gonna get people to smoke. So I'm gonna use that like we talk about Orange is the New Black. I'm using currency. I'm using smokes as currency.
True.
And I'm getting all the ramen noodle packets. I'm getting everything. Like
So
I'm just gonna be the deal. I don't smoke either.
You're the dealer in the inside.
I got the hookup. I'm gonna be that guy. So like that's my job.
I want to give a little inside podcast talk because Myles alluded to the question. More times than not, I don't let them know what I'm pulling from YouTube. This time I said, let's do it different. I even said in the notes, so let's try it different this week. I'll tip you off. And then I read the question wrong. So maybe I should just give you guys the questions ahead of time.
No, you had both of them in there, but yeah, what would be the charge and what? And then you followed it up with a second question. So I just thought it was a two-parter.
Okay, that's fine. I do want to know the charge, and I do want to know what your jobs are. So you're the smokes guy, but why are you in Hennepin County? What did you do, Myles?
Yeah, I don't. Feels a little. Honestly, I'm not. I don't even know at this stage in my life like what I would do to go to jail. I'm serious. I
Partied
don't.
too hard at the Wolves championship parade.
That would probably be the closest thing, and even then, okay, we'll go with that. That's a good one.
Right?
I could see that. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't, but I wouldn't. But like, I could see that. Like, if out of all the possibilities,
if you didn't have kids, if you didn't have a wife, you'd be just you'd go crazy, right? Yeah,
that's a different. If I wasn't married with kids, we could have a different conversation about what Bachelor Myles was up to. But right now, yeah, it'd probably be the Wolves parade. I probably did something stupid and got locked up for it.
I'll keep mine brief before we do our before our dies.
I streaked at like a
championship parade or something.
The parade or a Wolves game or something. All right, I protested it. I don't know.
I'm 100% in jail for indecent exposure numerous times. So that's fine.
I'm going to guess that I wind up in Hennepin County lockup because I stole a beer at Huntington Bank Stadium because I think charging $13 for a Miller Lite is criminal. So we'll go back on it. Yeah, we'll go back to that. My job, I'm a details guy. I'm a detail-oriented person. I would probably be in charge of counting inventory at the commissary. That would probably be my job. Right? Making sure that nobody who is in jail or prison because they stole stuff is stealing from our commissary. That's probably my job.
You're
keeping an eye on Myles, then basically.
As Ross goes to jail for stealing, he's going to now be the person that holds accountability.
That's what jail does, man. It changes your life. Look at it. Flip a whole new page for him.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right. Well, what I was going to say is like another one because of all the prices. I'm going to sneak in alcohol, right? Like, I'm going to sneak in. And if that's what I got locked up for. I snuck in alcohol and I got caught,
Mm-hmm.
The funny part is I'm being very honest here. When I go to games, I don't need booze, right? But occasionally you do want a drink, and I do partake. Too. I will partake this week for Go for Iowa week. But man, $12.81 for a Miller Lite or a Coors Light
I'm going to the Texans game. I'm going to the Vikings Texans game this week. So I don't like to go to games and get obliterated. I don't know how people like. What's the point of that? I can understand getting
stay at home and drink a case by yourself.
Right. But or like when you go to the game, I don't understand like going to get obliterated. I can understand having a good time.
Yeah.
But I don't need to go get like crazy drunk because then you start losing control of yourself, and that's just not me in public like that. There's so many people that I want to watch the game. So like, but I'm gonna go. I'll have a couple.
Also, going to the restroom at a Vikings or even most Gophers games is an impossible task, and it's tough on the men. I think it's much worse for the ladies.
Oh, I was going to say, Ross, you can't even say it's tough for us.
Yeah. That's why I'm getting arrested. I'm taking a squat in the corner real quick because I'm just like,
I miss the troughs. I miss the troughs at the Dome.
What a life. What a life.
We're so off the rails. Do we need to close this with our Before I Dies, JessI?
We might as well.
Real quick. I meant to say this earlier in the show about the shout-outs. We talked a little bit about like what the Vikings have done when they brought in, but like we talked about Cashman, Josh Metellus. We talked about Patrick Jones. Josh Metellus balled out yesterday. Blake Cashman balled out. Like I think it's just nice, and I think the Vikings offensive line balled out. Even Ed Ingram had some plays. I was like, oh, Ed, can we get that every week?
Yeah,
like
you can't, you won't. But
I know we won't. Right? It's like Sam Darnold in that way. Like you're not going to get that every week.
No.
But it was just some of those shout outs of guys. You're like, okay, these guys balled out and they played well, and it was just nice to see.
Yeah.
I know I'll be the hex on this, but Big Leg Bill still perfect in his NFL career on extra points and field goals. So when he misses the game winner next Sunday, you can all blame me.
Good work. All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's knock out some. Actually, first, Ross, since you're wearing purple, which other purple teams in the state do you enjoy cheering for? And is there any news that we need to hear about them Tommies?
Well, you know what? Our Tommies are now 1-2 with a victory over the weekend, and you can hear them this upcoming Saturday on 1500 ESPN. Pregame 12:30, kickoff at 1. All St. Thomas football games, men's hockey, men's basketball, can all be heard on 1500 ESPN and 1500ESPN.com. And don't forget, you can always see a full sports schedule for all of Tommy's Sports at TommySports.com. That's TommySports.com. Love having St. Thomas football on 1500 ESPN and 1500ESPN.com.
Time now for the Before I Die crew to give us their Before I Dies.
All right, Ross, you kicked us off first last week. Myles, why don't you kick us off first this week?
So remember when we talked about not having we were supposed to record later? I haven't had my notes together. I'm like trying to put it together now in my head, like on the spot of like Before I Die.
All right, I'll tell you why, guys. So the Wild were supposed to hold immediate availability. For those that don't know, the Minnesota Wild professional hockey team opens camp on Thursday. I'm solo parenting 3 children, and they were supposed to. I had my whole day tight in a bow, and the Wild schedule changed. Therefore, my schedule changed. Therefore, our entire schedule changed. So JessI's a prima donna. Not that any of us should be surprised by this, but she had to request an Audible, if you will. And here we are. So poor Myles has been trouncing through the best he can. Do you want to think about it? And Ross or I could go.
You actually called an audible to the audible, which is very impressive.
I did call an
JessI.
audible to the audible because we had moved twice. Classic JP.
Yes, please, JessI, if that'd be okay. Just give me a minute to ruminate. I gotta think about it.
I got you.
Do you want me to take one, JessI? Then we can go back to Myles and you can close us out. Mine's simple. It's entirely off topic. I don't know if it would ever work. I hesitate to even say this because of everything that's happened in recent memory. But I am so tired, even though I partake in watching one of the franchises, well, 2 of them if you count original Law & Order and Law & Order SVU. At what point are we going to have a big major network or like Netflix television show that focuses on like Minnesota Fire? Because what is Chicago? They have like Chicago Fire, Chicago MD, Chicago Police, Chicago Hot Dogs. It's like, correct. I just want something based out of Minneapolis.
Wait, minute. The Mighty Ducks wasn't a documentary?
Pretty much was. Pretty accurate. There's no way all those kids would have played for the same team. It drives me nuts.
I'm saying, oh my God, every time.
Minneapolis and St. Paul, like, no, these kids live in completely different districts.
Yeah, they made it seem like they all live like in the same neighborhood. It's like
they skated all the way out to Edina to pick up Adam Banks in like 27 seconds.
And then they rollerblade into the Mall of America like it's right down the road.
Like there's back roads to get there. Like you're on, what are you on 494? Like no, getting the crosstown. Traffic's just nuts. These kids are skating across the highway. Classic. I like that though, Ross.
So that's it. I just want a fictional, law-based, order-based, medical-based, fire-based, some Dick Wolf show that originates out of Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm. Myles, you got one?
I got it, and it's in the same vein as kind of what Ross is talking about in terms of, but mine's documentary related because there's the Aaron Hernandez like movie like it's not really a documentary, but it's like
the Netflix one.
Yeah,
that was good.
Was it? Did you watch it?
Like, wait, so they had the documentary, but they're coming out with a movie. I think I saw.
They're coming out like a movie. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
FX has
so the documentary was good. Yes, FX has the documentary or the movie. Netflix had the documentary. Documentaries are good. I appreciate documentaries just because it gives us an understanding of like what's been happening. One of my Before I Die is like a pet peeve of like how glorified we have like serial killers and like the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world, like all of the like we like create these movies and storylines about them as if like we make them human, we humanize them as like, but they were they're like a nice person, and then they end up like eating and killing like 20 women. Like I just can't stand how like we glorify like those types of situations and then turn them into feel good like movie stories. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be mine. I just like that really drives me nuts every time I see it. I like never watch them, but like those types of movies and stories just kill me.
Because
like,
you're not a suburban white woman who loves to watch murder documentaries.
So are you good on? You're good on documentaries, but you don't necessarily love when they turn them into like shows or movies for money, or you do not like the documentary either?
Well, like the documentary at least gives you a little bit of insight into I understand, like I like the why behind it. Like, why are they doing this? Because like I like the psyche behind, like I like understanding the psyche. I don't like the glorification of like I think it was there a Dahmer movie that was made recently. Like I like that actor too, but like they like give you an insight into the person's like background as like who they were as kids and stuff. Like, I don't need to know about that as a movie. Like, that's not like why.
I love because nice people are boring, man. Like, give me the.
I guess, yeah.
There's always some trauma. I agree though. I like the documentary. Though my problem is I'll quickly like then go down the rabbit hole and read all the articles and like all these other subsidiary pieces because I just.
You're the target audience, JessI, aren't you?
I totally am. 100%.
Admittedly, I love true crime documentaries and I love true crime podcasts. I jokingly say if the podcast isn't about sports or somebody dying, I don't listen.
Or like that Mindhunter show. Have you guys seen that one?
I do feel bad saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, Mindhunter was fantastic.
No, the what's the serial by the Adnan story? That one was fire. I thought that was legit. I was like, this is a really good way of storytelling and telling us all the facts and things. Like, I really appreciated that. But don't give me like a TV show.
But you don't want to make the feel good, like put the fuzzies on something that was so terrible like you're putting yourselves in the shoes of maybe the family members of the deceased and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very empathetic. Yeah, I got
But then you got people being like, oh, he's such an attractive person. I don't care if he's an attractive person. He's a psychopath.
Kind of hot.
Yes.
Psychopath. Like what are we doing? Like, look at JessI, you're the target audience. They got you.
They always do. No, but I've always been like, my mom always said I'm such an empath though. Like even like I really enjoyed reading the books, and I don't want to say enjoyed because that sounds terrible, but like the slavery books and the Holocaust books, because I just felt I couldn't believe people could be so evil and so inhumane. Sure. You know what I mean? So I think like that's part of it. Like with the murder, I'm just like, why are you so bad? Like I just can't. See that, right? Like I think that's a little bit of the intrigue and the interest. Like, oh, like how are you so gross? Now I can't watch any murder stuff that deals with kids. Ever since having kids, like I'm so grossed out by it. But otherwise, I don't know, a little sick and twisted, little Dahmers, a little sick and twisted. I don't. But
you want to see me cry? Give me a story about like kids getting impacted like that. No, it's a wrap.
That's always terrible.
Yeah.
Speaking of things dying, not quite, not really, not literally. This is a great way to end this show. Before I die, there's a woodpecker that is destroying my home, and I am going to get the best of him. I have been dealing with this woodpecker for 3 years now. I have tried everything. He's not even scared of me anymore. He just lets me get so close. The kids now, it's their new game in the morning. I'm like, go get the woodpecker. And they run out and go, and like scare him away. But then he just sits and watches. So before I die, I will get the best of him. I'm not going to share how I will get the best of him. Interpret that however you want, because I believe he is a protected species. So because I don't want to go to Hennepin County Jail or Ramsey County in my case, I will keep that to your imaginations. But if you have any tips, please leave that in the comments below, because he's driving me insane and killing my house. There's no bugs in the house either. We had a bug guy come out and like look, and he's just doing it to be a jackass. So.
Is it the bugs? I thought it was something like in the bark or the wood that they liked, or is it? I thought
it was supposed to be like, but like
I thought it was like
right?
Termites or whatever.
Okay.
Those, like,
But they're according to their bug guy. There's nothing in there. He just likes to do it. And I was like, well.
Oh, he knows he's pissing you off now. That's like it's personal now. It's become personal. It's no longer like I want what's in here. No. I know I'm pissing her off.
Oof.
I'm gonna guess too. Is it always in the middle of the night too? You're trying.
No, it's always
to
the morning. He's very. I have his hours down. It's always in the morning, and the wall that he selects is right on our bedroom, like against my headboard bedroom. So I hear it, and I just hear it so loudly, and it's like I'm already awake, and that's fine. But you should see the way I react. I'm like and I just sprint out the house. Like it's kind of like how my dog acts when she sees a squirrel. Like so excited and just tries to get there. It's good practice for me in my 40 during the tryout though, like just see how quickly I can get there. Quick cuts, all that stuff. Right?
I'm excited for your tryout. You got to keep us up to date on this.
I'll keep you. There's 3 different options. One's my birthday, September 28th, for those of you who didn't know. And then October, like the following 2 October Saturdays too, which bump into hockey season, but we'll figure it out. It'll be good. I appreciate your guys' support. As always, we appreciate all of our viewers' supports. Don't forget to check out all the other Purple Daily content and Score North content. As always, we love the Vikings, at least this week. Just one before we die. That's all we ask. On behalf of Myles and Ross and myself, we will see you back here next week. Skol Vikings.
1-0, JessI and Myles in Hennepin County.